So yeah, in transitioning where, you know, major life events, I think we're finding. Well, let's talk about where we started off with this video. Is we have all been through trauma or events that would lead to trauma. The last going on almost 2 years now. March of 2021, whatever year it is.
2020.
See, and that's my trauma. I have no concept of time anymore.
Or it was 2019.
It was 20. See, I always thought it was 2019, but it was 2020.
It was 2020 because now we're in 2021.
21, and yep. I think March of 2022 will be its 2 year that we've been dealing with. Well, it actually started, I think, this time of year 2 years ago.
Yep.
It was when
it started
hospitals
surfacing.
were surfacing. But, you know, and I think one of the hardest things I have even still is we wear a mask and we can only see people's eyes, and we miss that smile. And
we miss the nonverbals, that connection.
Yeah.
The other thing you bring up in regards to trauma is sometimes we look at trauma as having to be this big thing, this car accident, this little thing. And one of the things they taught me in EMDR is little traumas can add up to big things, but even little traumas can bite at you.
And that's what I was going to ask you is, you know, we don't have to be through a major trauma. There's little life events.
There's little moments. One of the things recently I've worked a lot with is women who've had miscarriages for different reasons. And getting them, and it's so funny, each of them that I've worked with got pregnant during the process and stuff. And so I will say EMDR can be done while you're pregnant. There are some precautions to do around that and stuff like that. But little things, and then that's not a little thing, but that's a life event that a lot of women can go through, or infertility. But little events of being bullied. And again, they're not little, but when we compare it to seeing somebody's legs get chopped off from a car accident or something, that is like a graphic big thing. But minor things like now my head's thinking about the big things, but minor things about like
the simple thing of going to the office every day, and maybe you're dealing with an office bully, and here you are in your 50s.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, bullying just doesn't happen when you're in elementary school and you're 11, 9, 10 years old. You know, you can deal with difficult people, and I think you could give some coping mechanisms that could help people that
well, not just coping mechanisms, but like think about like going for a walk and tripping or running into like a cougar and stuff like that. And now, and all of a sudden now you're afraid of cougars. Like again, that's something that you're like, oh, I'm afraid of cougars, who cares? But one of the things when I was thinking about minor, I went back to one of the events I did with one of my clients one time was it was winter. And they had fallen in the ice, and they hated ice afterwards because they tripped and fell. And again, that's kind of minor. That's like that's something that had an effect. The body still remembered it enough that didn't like ice, and they tried to avoid it a lot. But it wasn't a big catastrophic thing. And we did EMDR around that, and all of a sudden the person was like, I've had another client where it was heights. And then they went afterwards. They worked through their heights. See, we need to do some of his heights. And then afterwards, they were doing some rock climbing, and they're like, "Holy crap! The EMDR stuff works. It does. It really helps to." And then one of the things going back to EMDR before we go back to the trauma thing is EMDR. I love it because it not only takes care of the negative belief. You can't make a memory disappear. The memory is always going to be there, but we take the bite out of that, and we help it to go from the short-term memory where it keeps coming back and hitting us into long-term where it becomes just a memory. And so with EMDR, it not only works with that, but you have that negative belief, like maybe I'm not good enough, or I'm not safe, or again, I have a whole plethora of them that I can list. But it also reinstills positive beliefs of I am good enough, I can be safe, I will be safe, and things like that. And so I love EMDR because not only does it help to help disappear that negative belief system that happened because of this event or these events and things, but it also helps bring in the positive event and belief and bring your positive, which again goes back to that saying, it takes for every negative thing you hear, 10 positives to make it. EMDR changes that number and helps to offset that.
That's excellent. Yeah, it's a game changer.
It really it really is. And I want to say for me how much it changed my world. Like I didn't realize how cranky and crabby and ornery I was and all those things what I was going through. And when I went through EMDR, I changed. I even had my friend, and she's a friend, not a client, my friend Misty, who we were sitting, we went up to an event up in Park City, and we were sitting, and her and I were just in the hot tub, and she goes, Terri, what happened to you? You're so different. And I was like, oh, that's that EMDR. I also went to my best friend's wedding. Katie, love you. And her sister at her wedding was like, Terri, you're so different. And I was like, oh yeah, that's my EMDR. Like it literally allowed me. I used to be in all dark. I was very depressed. I used to think about like suicide, not regards that I would kill myself, but man, if that SEM, I could guarantee it would take my son and me out. I like those thoughts. To not even think about it, and now the color, like my bubbly personality came back. But it also it's trauma, and I guess this is an experience of what I'm saying is that trauma affects us and it bleeds. But when we work through it, it can change us. It can change us back to not in regards to like, oh, I'm not going to be a blonde at the root of my hair, but change us in regards to who we truly are that got lost because of what we went through.
Yeah.
And going back to that in regards to trauma, you have those little traumas, and some of them can stack up, or some can be little like job changes or loss of job. Anything that's an identity change again is something to look at. And some people I think like if they decide that they are gender neutral or gender equality, like that's what we're talking about. But that's not what I'm talking just about that. I'm saying like the identity change of losing your job. That's been who you are for so long, or a husband who lost their spouse. That's part of your identity. And now that you're widowed, Russ, how has your life changed? Like, how has your identity changed?
Well, and it's really changed because, my wife passed away, and then a few months after that, I left my job of almost 10 years to stay home with the kids. And so, I went through a lot in a brief period,
Sure, about time.
And, and I didn't know Terri at the time, and I remember feeling so lost. And if people watching this have lost a spouse, you'll understand. You just feel so lost and out of place for that first several months, and I think even now, as you progress, I think one good thing about life is bad memories can fade and the better memories become brighter, but they're still memories, and I think you need to work through them because
they can bite you.
Yeah, it can bite you, and I agree with you because I'm waiting for the day where there's just a major crash, emotional crash, because I think every day I'm doing so good, and I'm thinking,
it's gonna catch up to you.
It's gonna catch up, And I think we go back to, again, the therapy. I think it's, in the past, it had a stigma, something must be wrong with you mentally.
Oh.
If you have to go see a therapist.
You're cray-cray. Like, I started this video, I'm like, just go with my cray-cray.
Yeah, we all think of Sybil,
And if you don't know who Sybil is, you can YouTube her.
But, therapy, like we're talking here this last little bit, it's just a nice little tweak, a little tune-up.
It's a tune-up.
And as Terri was talking, if you've got trauma in your life, why not address it and enjoy your life? Life is meant to be enjoyed and lived, and why live with this event that created this whatever you're going through, misery and loss of hope and depression, when a good therapist like Terri can open those doors to be bright again and to give you coping mechanisms to help you, because we all want a happy life.
Yep.
Right? We all want the best life we can possibly have.
Well, and I want to say, I think there's some expectation that life is always going to be happy. We're not. We're going to, but it can help to not have those dips and those extreme stuff. And I'm not, again, at the same time, I want to acknowledge some people need medicine, and some people, this is a good time to say, something that took 30 years to create doesn't get fixed in 3 EMDR sessions. I have some clients that come in and they expect everything to be better after 10 sessions, and I'm like, dude, we're still building a relationship. We haven't even started EMDR. Yeah. So I do want to acknowledge that when you go into, if you're looking at EMDR, and you're going into an EMDR therapist, the therapist has to create a relationship with you, with everyone in clients, but no matter what the therapy is, it's about creating a relationship. But in my offices, I have to build safety, because you are not going to talk about your crap. Yeah. You're not going to talk about your hell if you don't feel safe with me. Yeah. And so I'm big about making things safe. I'm big about not yet, because you have to feel safe with me, because you won't tell. And some people are like, I'm an open book. You'll tell what you feel comfortable, but you won't open the doors to that inner wound. You won't open and go where you need to. And so I have sometimes it can take a month or two in weekly sessions to build that relationship and things, so your body will want to talk with me and my body, like we just communicate and it's a relationship. And I think I want to acknowledge just how important that relationship is in the therapy office here for a moment. One of the things I think I developed is great connection with my clients. It's not always perfect. I'm not everybody's therapist, and I acknowledge that, but I want people to find what they need. That being said, I offer connection. I don't tell everybody my whole world, but I have told people about my trauma and things like that, in not extensively, but about it and how EMDR changed me and stuff like that, because again, I want you to feel safe with me. And some of that safety comes with knowing that your therapist has walked down that road and has gotten through it. And so I tell my clients that I've been down that. I found EMDR because of a horrible car accident. And I did, and I'm honest with that. And I think sometimes in therapy we've said, no, you can't share anything about you. And I don't go share the world, but I have a philosophy that if it has to do with therapy and it will benefit you, then I'm going to use it. And I'm going to use that in this. Like, I'm sharing things that people are like, maybe she shouldn't share. Judge me, you go for it. But I'm good with who I am, and I'm sharing because I know it's going to make a difference for the people it needs to make a difference to.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great approach for you to take. Is therapy is a human connection.
It's a human, and I'm also human. Like, I'm gonna make mistakes, but I own my mistakes and I try to fix them and I try to do my best. But again, even that being said, sometimes it's just not the right fit. And so understand that. This is a good part, going back to like how you find a therapist. You can interview. I had one recently who I had suggested, and I loved that the feedback that my client gave me was that their partner had went to 3 different therapists or 4 before finding their therapist. And I was so glad, because sometimes we go to the first and the only one we can see, and so we get in there because they're so trained, but we don't, the fit's not right, but we stay because we're so afraid that we can't get into somebody else, or we're so afraid. And I'm saying go get on the wait list, or I'm a big believer in the man upstairs. This is when I'd say go say a prayer that you can find what you need. I've had a lot of people who found my door because of that. But for those who don't believe in the higher power, or they believe in just positive karma, use it, because there can be a lot of power in finding what you need when you need it. But you also can't sit. This is a great place to say you can't sit and expect to just be like, here you go, it's on your lap.
I'm all better,
Well, not just all better, but it's just the therapist is just going to find you. You have to do the work. With clients, sometimes it's harder. You have clients who, we have a world stigma of give me a pill and it'll get better. And they don't want to, or it's hard to do the work, and it takes work. It takes doing what your therapist says, not just in the office, but when you walk out the door.
Well, you took work to find your spouse. You took work to find your job. So anything good in life is going to take work.
It does.
And
this doesn't come. It doesn't come for free, and it doesn't come easy. But I will say, this is something I've said often: is there's always silver linings. We might not be able to see that silver lining right away, and this is when we say time. But over time, you will find a silver lining if you allow yourself. And I think that's a big important part that we don't talk about too. Is how our mind is set up. If we're negative Nancy, you're gonna find negative. You're gonna find the pothole in the road. You're gonna find, if you have a positive outlook or try to build up positivity, you're gonna start to find things. Like we were talking about, I can tell you about my day. It was crazy. And Russ was like, do we need to cancel? It's been a crazy day. And I was like, nope, I've said my prayer. I'm good. This is gonna work. And I think it's worked. Even this little cut up that we got to go kind of splice together. My son had called through, and I'm like, Alan, you just interrupted our video. But I know in the end everything will work out, because that's the positive mindset that I walked away from with EMDR and the therapy that I did. But I also helped to train my brain to look at the good. It can annoy people, but I can look at a situation and I can always find something good in it. I might not like the situation, but even today, like I was like, okay, as I was driving after, like I had to drop off my son's prescriptions and everything, I was like, okay, things are set up that next time all I have to do is make a phone call and all the prescriptions are going to be ready to go. This is just a temporary, it's been a muck of a day. But overall, it'll get better. And then I was like, okay, and this video is going to work out. Like, I don't know how, but I trust. And I think that's another part is trusting your therapist, trusting the system, trusting and...
Well, trusting yourself to overcome
Oh, not believing in yourself, believing. Like I know for me, I will tell you, there are sometimes I'm really nervous. I get nervous seeing a new client. Will they like me? Do they think I suck? Especially like when I have therapists come see me, I'm like, oh, they're gonna judge me, or they're gonna tell me I'm not as good as they are. Like we all have our insecurities, but at the same time, I can also sit here and tell you, I'm a damn good therapist, and I know it. I'm well certified. I'm well trained. I know my stuff, and it stands behind that. And I don't think that's an ego. I don't think that's me saying I'm narcissist or somebody judging that, and they might. But the truth is I've built my self-esteem. I have done the work of my core self, and I'm amazing. And I know that as this online stuff grows, that I'm going to grow, and I'm going to be amazing. And that is again what EMDR gave me. EMDR gave me confidence in me. I remember. Let's see. Maybe I should go do an EMDR for a moment. But I remember another therapist that I worked with that ruined me and almost got me to completely walk away from therapy.
Wow.
They completely destroyed me, and as I look back on it, they were jealous. I was a very different. I hit comfort zones that they weren't comfortable with. I'd also even like ratted the therapist out for something they shouldn't have done. But they nitpicked me and nettled me, and nothing was right. They would sit before me. So here's an honest moment. I suck at spelling. I have a master's degree, and I suck at spelling. And I own it. But guess why I suck at spelling? I was at my young age of development, and I was being sexually abused. And my body was too busy surviving and too busy trying to be okay to show up 100% to learn.
It didn't care about there, and there.
No, it really didn't. And so sometimes people are like, I really care about that. And I'm like, before we start judging that, maybe you should sit and find out what they've been through. Because I know for me, I look at my spelling stuff having to do with, dude, I was not doing well. I was really struggling at those young ages. So how could my brain show up to learn how A and I and put them together? Like even now in my head, I'm like, oh, they don't form. And so, but I own it. And I remember this therapist being like, you can never go before a judge. And I'm like, watch me. I remember the day going, watch me. I have no problem going before a judge. And if he wants to bring up my spelling, and I can go, really? Well, let me talk to you. Let me tell you, because I know my stuff, and I can show you I know my stuff. And it isn't because I'm perfect in my grammar. And I remember my master's degree when I got done, the director, she questioned whether I was going to be good. And I walked away going, can I do this? And now I look at where I'm at, and I'm amazing, and I know I am. And so, again, that mind shift and brain can be affected. And I don't think if you found those people that they'd be like, oh, yeah, that's what I did. But that's how I took it, and that's how my body affected it. But those made changes in me. And I remember the doubt and things like that. But through what I've gone through and done, like I go back to my trainings. I have tons of training in EMDR, and I continue, and books. And I have tons of training in EMDR and children's EMDR that I continuously do and continue to do, and reading. And then I have internal family systems. I have motivational interviewing. I have CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. I have all these, again, I didn't even list them all. I have all these trainings of things. But the thing that I found is I can stretch myself or I can specialize. And so, again, in this, you're going to get a lot of trauma, but you're going to get other stuff. And so I want you to know that you come here and we can talk about anything, because I have the knowledge for a lot of things. I have the knowledge to help you, or to send you in directions to help and give advisement. Like, how do I find, I have an eating disorder. What do I do? My advice, get in contact with a dietitian. And also get in touch with outpatient eating programs. There's, again, I can keep going on with my list of things. I have information. Am I an eating disorder therapist? No. Do I work with clients who have had eating disorders? Yeah. Why? Because trauma. What happened? Oh, Oh, that actually made me laugh, because some people are like, how do you know trauma? I will give you a secret. If you have control issues, you've
been through some trauma, huh?
More than likely, you've been through some stuff, because what happens in trauma is we lose control. These are the moments where we didn't have control, we didn't have it, and so our body uses control as a way to try to protect. And so if you're using control as a way to keep things safe and getting control, go get that. If you have a control and somebody's complained about your control, go see somebody, because I can't guarantee, but a good chance you've been through something that's affecting you, because it's not normal to try and control everything in the world.
And we're not talking just being trying to manage your family and your kids and your calendar.
I'm saying you control your family.
Yeah, this is actual control where you're
OCD,
yeah,
like OCD
mhm.
is if you have to have. I have a lot of clients who, especially with trauma, are very clean freaks, and they'll tell me they're clean. Like cleanliness really matters to them, to kind of the point of OCD about it. And guess what? They've got trauma, and so you can be clean. I'm not saying don't be clean, but when you have to OCD clean, and it gives you anxiety if things aren't clean,
Yeah.
and it's that
Or even being the controlling one in a relationship too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and think about that. How many times have we dated somebody who told you what to do and how to do it and when to do and what to it's a controlling nature.
Yeah.
But not only could that affect us, but when you look at that partner, and it doesn't mean I'm saying this to say go date the person,
No.
but good chance they've gone through something.
Yeah.
And that they need help. And so it's a red flag of like, and it goes back, people are like, what should I date? I'm like, if you're dating somebody who's never been to therapy, if you are having issues within your relationship and you're not doing therapy, it doesn't mean you're broken. I use the theory from the Japanese, and I don't remember the name of it, but the Japanese take broken pottery and they mend it with gold and platinum, and their theory is that you actually become more beautiful. The brokenness is beautiful, and in truth, I will tell you, there's beauty for me. Look at what I am and who I am, and I attribute what and how good I am because of the crap I went through. I can sit here today and tell you I'm grateful for the trauma that I went through. I wouldn't give it to anybody else, and I would certainly not choose it to it again. But it makes me a better therapist. And when I go through hard moments with my son, it makes me a better mom. It makes me a better son. But again, that mental thought process comes because of the work I've done in therapy. And I've done it. I've done group therapy. I've done the other things and stuff like that. And so I come to you with a lot of knowledge, and that's what I want you to hear. So if you have therapy ideas, this is my plug for you got therapy ideas. Let us know. If there's something you want to talk about, send me an email, heartofpeacecounseling@gmail.com. Message me, Heart of Peace Counseling, on
Drop in the
Facebook.
comments.
We've got Instagram coming on here. We also got, which is Terri Talks Trauma Therapy for YouTube, and I'll post that in the links. You also have my Instagram, which is I think again Terri Talks Trauma. I try to keep things pretty close to the similarity. My Instagram is Heart of Peace Counseling, and again I'll post those in the links and stuff like that. But please let me know, because I know there's a lot of out there, but sometimes what you need, you just let me know.
Yeah, drop it. And then Terri, what are some of the comments or
comments? I got lots of comments. Comment on that's a great blue shirt, Russ. Are you been drinking more than water? Is that some vodka?
What are some of the topics that we'll be covering in the next several weeks that you may want to bookmark?
So one of the things I want to start off with next time is, I think, talking more about finding the right therapist and what that looks like, and helpful things like and things like that I've learned, and how I like when somebody asks me for a referral, what I do and what I look for, because I'm a snob about my referrals. Not anybody gets my referrals, because the truth is some therapists suck. It's true.
Well, it's like every profession. There's good and bad in every profession.
And some people say they can do it all, and they really shouldn't be doing it all, and they really should just stay to their specialty. I also think, in regards to that, is what does therapy look like? What does the first office visit look like?
That'd
what
be a great topic.
Paperwork work and everything
Especially
like that.
if someone's never been to therapy, what can they expect?
What can you expect?
That's great,
what questions to ask? I like when my clients give me questions and call me up pre-hours and ask me, and I'm like, "What is there anything I can answer for you?" Because it's your way of deciding, I want to give this person a chance. It's my way. Oh, did I just mention that? Guess what? Can a therapist say no? Yes. Sometimes I've told clients, no, this isn't working, and I've referred out, or even in the very, very beginning, I say, I'm not your therapist. Like I have a lot of people call me for couples therapy, or for an insurance I used to be paneled with that I'm no longer. And I'll tell them, I said, I'm not your therapist. I do have trainings in couples therapy, and I can give information, but I am not at the top. What's the word I want to use? I don't keep my trainings up in it. I'm always keeping trainings up, but when I spend my money on certifications, it's on my internal family systems, it's on my trauma, it's on my EMDR. That's where I'm spending my money to specialize and refine my skill at what I do in person. And again, as this grows, there might be areas I start growing in more as we grow here.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about that. I want to talk about like what do I do and how do I find and help me to to know what to expect and why it's important to ask these questions and understand insurance and things like that.
Yeah, and I think another topic we should cover is, when do I need therapy? You know,
more in detail than what we talked about here. When do I make that decision and how do I make that decision? And somebody tells me I need it, but I don't feel like I need it. Like, what are some warning signs? And again, we talked a little bit about it, but we didn't get specific because these are more detailed things. They're more detailed things about what we can talk about and spend more time. And again, coming forward is podcasts. Like, we might get to the place that we're doing podcasts once or twice a week too. I really want to offer a place where you can get information. I'm not going to be your therapist. I might be able to give you some advice and things that I would offer. Again, I will go over some of the things I learned with Gottman Therapy and have a subscription that you can get access to some of the stuff that I have within Gottman, because I don't have it for free. I use it in my office and I can give you access to it within paid work of therapy. But to post it on YouTube and just be like, here, I'm under copyright and stuff like that. And so I'm going to have subscriptions.
You're not doing anybody a favor by doing that anyway.
I am. I will say this. Sometimes I've found that when you get something for free, it's not what it's worth. It really is good to find somebody who, even $5, there is a level of accountability when you have to pay. We've talked a lot in therapy with other therapists, like, how do you stop the no-shows? How do you stop the client cancellations and things like that? I have a no-show policy. You don't give me 24 hours, you get charged. And I, every once in a while, unless it's emergency, and I try and expect that in return and stuff like that, because it's not only my livelihood, but it gets you more embedded into therapy.
Well, and
you have to pay for it.
You're dedicated to. I mean, this is your life cause more than your profession too.
Yes. At the same time, I laugh because I will sit there in my office with my therapist, with my not my therapist, with my clients and some of our therapists, and they'll make a joke, and it's kind of become an office joke of like, oh, yep, I've earned my money. Because especially when it hits the end of the year, and most people have hit their deductibles, and so the insurance is paying for a good chunk of it, and they don't have to pay anything but a copay or nothing at all. And so we're like, oh, 15 minutes, I just earned my money. Sweet. Everything else is just coming for free now. And so it's kind of the joke we talk about, but in truth, we are more invested when we, like, again, so here's my clothes that I love, Costco, my little pump, but I'm more invested in what I do and how I wear and how I take care of it, because I spent the money to have this stuff. I spent the money to take care of these things, and so I'm going to better take care of it because I spent the money on it. And that doesn't say that people who can't afford it, I'm just saying, I think there's more accountability oftentimes when we can't.
And you are worth, the people that we're talking to right now, you are worth the money you'll spend to get some issues resolved. You're worth it.
It's funny how some people will go buy a brand new phone and have the money to do that, but they won't spend the money on therapy. And I think you'd better benefit on therapy than a brand new phone. You know, and some people really can't afford it, and so I'm grateful for those offices and things like that work with Medicaid and Medicare and things like that. As an MFT, not one I can do, but that being said, it's great that there are sliding scales and things like that. One of the things moving forward as we grow is I want to develop a nonprofit where my nonprofit helps to pay for therapy, but I'm not just going to pay for any therapy. Like, I want to make sure you're going to somebody good. I want to make sure that you are invested in it. I want the money to help you build your resilience and your confidence. I want you to go to good. And down the road, I might, step more into supervision and develop more of an office where I have a lot of trainings. Like, the future is untold of where all that's going to go. And so I look forward to going on this journey with you guys. I'm excited to take Russell along with us and to really expand the base.
Yeah, I think it's at a great time to do this. There's people really need it.
Well, and I think we need to work away at that stigma. We talk a lot, we don't. And I think it was in one of my Instagram posts I had said, I want to take away that stigma. I want to openly talk about therapy. In this, I might talk about openly what EMDR was like for me and going through it, because we need that. And we have a lot of people who aren't trying things because we don't know what's on the other side of that rainbow or that journey.
Yeah. Well, we've evidenced the last couple of years the future has unknowns that, and we need mechanisms to help us cope in those times and to
Oh, and that's another topic. We're going to go over coping skills. We're going to talk about coping skills. We're going to talk about, down the road, I want to do some videos where I come on and I do little coping skill videos that you can access on my page too. So that you can go in and find those videos and things like that. I have these little little cards that I use in my office that I was telling Russ I wish that every teacher would use, because if we started this at kindergarten and worked our way through high school and college, we would have a lot less mental health issues going on. Another big thing that I've said is we need to train, not change. We need to train people in trauma and understanding it and seeing that like your child that's struggling in school, it might not be because they don't want to be here. They might literally be in trauma or going through trauma. So many times I've looked at the times I've met with kids and they are in detentions, they are getting suspended, they aren't showing up for class, and guess what's behind that? You listen and look, there's trauma. There's events that they aren't telling people and nobody knows, and people, it's kind of like we ask but we don't ask.
And well, we talked earlier too, and we're going to wrap this up quickly, but just to kind of talk about more things we'll be talking about. When a child, he's got to tell you in the language he knows, and he may not know all the words to use. He might not know the word to say, "Grandpa's abusing me." He might just say, "a bad person," or "something's happening to me." And so we need to take it seriously. It's the same thing I say with suicide is suicide's not joked about. If somebody's talking about suicide, you're calling 911 or taking them into the hospital. It's not even a game to play with. Like suicide is that serious. And again, we don't act. I've had clients talk to me about how they've tried to talk somebody out of it. I'm like, no, there isn't talking out. There's just get them in and get them help. You do not have the capabilities and training to assess, and especially as a therapist. If I were to assess my own child's suicidality, I would suck at it because I'm the mom and I'm too mom involved. And so you need a professional to make that decision, and you need the professional to evaluate that. And so many times we don't instead of do, and we need to change that. So we need to change that. So we'll even talk about suicidology. We'll even talk about like what I work with the clients and how I help my clients, and plans that I help families and things like that, and how to. We're going to talk about red light, green light, orange. So I use this continuum where being in the green, being in the yellow, being in the orange, being in the red. And we're going to talk about the continuum, how I use it in couples therapy, how I've used it in individual, how I've used it in family. That's another topic we're going to talk about, and how to be in that, and how our brain works in these different zones, and how our brain is affected by trauma, how our brain is affected by lack of interaction, and how COVID, I want to talk about how COVID's hit us. And I want to even kind of open it up to, again, open up and have live. We're going to be moving forward to open up to live as we grow, turn it to live where people can ask some questions and things like that, or submit, again, with podcasts, submit your questions and topics. And that's what we spend the time on. But the other thing I want to add is that it's not going to be a lot of scripted stuff. You are going to get person to person. What you see is what you get. I am not a script person. I'm really not. I don't think therapy could be scripted. I mean, you got to react to the situation that's in hand. Well,
and I think some people do it in scripted, and I just don't feel that's real, and it doesn't. Again, my idea of therapy is I want to build connection, and I take that into this. I want to build connection. I want to build connection with you and my network and my people and my all this stuff. I want to build that connection, and if I show up scripted reading something to you, it's not going to be real. It's not going to be connected. There are going to be moments where I swear. There are going to be moments when I'd be like, hey, maybe the kids shouldn't watch this one. Not mean that I'm going to be graphic and we're going to go to Pornhub, but in regards to, it's not children sensitive to talk about this. And so I want you to know that. And I will always be aware of my audience and follow, YouTube and stuff like that. But I will warn you, I'm kind of going to be like, this is PG-13 today. And things like that. And talking to, even that, we can talk about the effects of sexual abuse and how a lot of times the sexual abuse, you get into things like pornography and stuff like that and how that affects things. And again, we're going to talk about topics that not everybody agrees with. I work with police officers, and so during the protest times, it was hard because I had families of African American descent and Black Lives Matters within my office. I also had transgender and gender equality and all that going on, and it was things that we're fighting and discussing about and stuff. And so some of the topics you might always agree with, but my place is you're a person. You're a person no matter who you are, and you deserve that. And somebody's coming in, so let's close this down.
Thanks for dedicating your time to us tonight, and please watch for future broadcast and leave your comments below so we can
Please do.
address what's on your mind.
Message us and let us know, and we look forward to talking with you.
Good night.
Bye.